is that process of delegation, but that's when most people fail. My business almost failed because I didn't know how to build a team. I was a computer programmer that wanted to have his own business, but I had no idea how to build a team. And I come from a military background, so I thought I have to discipline these people, and they do whatever I say, and they have to work the hours I say. And so me and people will live left, right, and center, and I will attract the wrong type of people until I realize it's all about the culture. Welcome to the Break Free Podcast with your host, David Mancella. Today we have with us a good friend of mine, Kevin. Brother, how are you? Welcome.
I'm good, David. Thank you for having me on your podcast. It's an honor to be here, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, brother. Kevin, tell the audience your full name. Where do you live and what do you do for a living?
Okay, no worries. My name is Kevin Yu, born and raised in Toronto. I run a real estate team right in Toronto. We do residential real estate. Been in the business 13 years, over a decade. Have a small, very efficient team, and last year we just became top 1% of realtors across Canada. So
across Canada. Congratulations!
Thank you. I'm very blessed, very grateful of my team. It took a long time to build this team. I'm going to tell you that, but I'm happy I'm here. I'm very grateful that I'm here.
So, quick statistic. 1 in 10 businesses make it to 10 years. 1 in 10. And you said you've been in business for 13 years. So that alone is a huge success. And that's why you're here. This podcast is to enlighten the world with the knowledge of very successful people that are living life in their own terms. And that's, you are a representation of that. So, okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. It takes a lot of tenacity, a lot of falling down, getting back up to get where I am here right now. There's many times I felt like crying and hiding in the corner, but you know what? I couldn't.
Well, we all go through that, and we forget that life is not linear. Life is a wave. And so you have ups and downs, and they will come up, and it's just like exactly like a wave in the ocean, right? It comes in, goes out, comes in, goes out. But our thinking is linear, and that's where the problem is, right?
That's right.
That's why when good times are here, I enjoy. When bad times are here, I also enjoy. Because you get to decide, right?
You're totally right, David. Like the thing is, the bad times is what makes you think about, okay, what did I do wrong? How do I fix this? And then it makes you even better. Like that's the thing. It makes you even better. I look at bad or mistakes. I look at mistakes on my team. We don't get mad at each other when there's mistakes. What happens is that we actually debrief and like with my team, and we figure out how not to let it happen again. That's what we have always been doing. And it's all about iterations, right? All the different iterations, you keep on going and you just don't stop. And we're obsessed with making a very good client experience. That's what we're obsessed with. And we're also obsessed with not having inefficiency in the team. So we're always trying to make a better process constantly. So.
That's beautiful, and that's why you are number one, right? I run a very successful software consulting business. We build applications to grow my clients' profits and net worth, because we turn normal businesses into software companies, and then their EBITDA goes through the roof. The multiples on EBITDA goes through the roof. And part of my success is exactly what you just said. We adopted this concept called Kaizen, and it's a Japanese strategy that says ever constant improvement. So the concept is, it doesn't matter how good you are, you can always get better. And how do you do that? By analyzing your mistakes, by having an open conversation with your team, and not pinpointing the mistakes of people, but actually using them as an example on how to grow. Because when people feel afraid of making mistakes, they don't act, and then you get stagnant. But you're okay. You know that even if you make a mistake, your team will support you. Things going to be fine, because nobody makes mistakes on purpose. And if somebody's making a mistake on purpose in your company, they need to go, because they are not part of your growth.
That's right. You're totally right on that, David. Like it's because the thing is we have a very supportive team. There's all doors are open. Anyone can have access to me no matter what. That's how we've always done things, where there's no egos, because we're after the same thing, right? We're after to create a great experience for our clients. That's why we're in business, right? We're in business to serve one way or another. And if you think about your clients and how to serve them better, then there's no egos, and we accept responsibility when something failed. We don't say, there's no blaming on our team. We don't like, hey, they dropped the ball, they dropped off. We're like, oh, the staging team had issues with this. How do we help them? Like, that's how we always work, right?
How do you get into real estate?
By accident, my friend. Let me tell you a quick story about that. Like, I've always have an entrepreneur mindset. So I had a store in the beaches in Toronto, just doing bath and body. I was a software developer first. So I was actually.
You were a coder? Really?
I have a computer science degree from UT.
That's amazing.
That's why I had that engineering mind, right? Like putting out processes together. But I was a coder for 4 years. I worked at a startup. We did a telecom, and TELUS was one of our biggest clients. We switched all their servers from mainframes to Sun boxes. That's what we did. So we made it open source as well. That's what we did. So that's what I did for 4 years. I didn't have a love for it. So I felt my soul was depleting. So I took a break, and then worked in a record store for a year and trying to find myself. And I was with my girlfriend and wife at the time, and she wanted to try real estate. So she was doing the courses and stuff, and she needed me to help her with the math. So I helped her with the math, and I was like, oh, this is fun. I'll do it with you just for fun. I wasn't even planning to do it. So just so that we could do something together. Right. So, and then she ended up not liking it, and I ended up going forward, and then I became a realtor. That's how I became a realtor. By accident. I didn't even want to be. It just because I didn't have the personality back then. I think I didn't have the personality back then for it, but I treat it as a self-improvement thing, like something I always put myself in weird situations every year that's bad, like not bad, that makes me feel uncomfortable, right? So that's how you grow, right? Like I was never a good speaker. I never could even lead a team, but I learned those skill sets by finding out how to do it, finding coaches and mentors to teach me. And yeah, here I am right now leading a whole team, which I'll never even thought I'd be in sales ever. When you asked me in university what I'll be in 10 years, I would like doing computers. That's what I would have been doing.
It's incredible, brother. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So was it hard to break into a very busy market? Real estate market is very busy.
Yeah, even when I started 13 years ago, there was still about 40,000 realtors in the GTA at that time. Yeah, a lot.
Just in Toronto. Wow.
Yeah, and well, it's in GTA, it's counting like PO and stuff like that, and yeah, it's very tough. But the thing is, a lot of things that helped me was I was very social in my 20s, right? I was very social in my 20s. I used to be a DJ too in Toronto. I DJ like the big clubs, like at the government.
Really?
Yeah, wow. That's, I know. I almost do it. What's that? I still do it from time to time. We threw a park party a couple of times ago, and now I DJ my daughter's a dance. We did a fundraiser, and then a bunch of the kids showed up and stuff. And I still DJ at house parties for my friends. And sometimes I still DJ at some small events, like very small, like a few hundred people, that sort of stuff. Right. Which I'm booked for this summer. I'm playing on Center Island for a few hundred people this summer.
So that's your hobby, I guess, right? Is your
hobby. It used to be my passion. I might be switching back and putting that into more of the front right now, because I'm freeing up so much time because of my systems and processes right now. I'm trying to busy myself with my new project. So I'm going back to DJing, producing music, doing all the things that fill my soul, right? So I'm going to get back into that. But to answer your question, David, how I found real estate. First year, I have another story. 3 months into being a realtor, my wife and I, we went to Whistler. We were avid snowboarders then. We're snowboarding in Whistler, and then I had a weird fall, like on the second day, because the first day we were so excited to be there. Like there was like so much good snow and stuff. Like I think we rode 5 hours that day. I was like, too much. You shouldn't ride 5 hours. You ride 2 or 3, right? But we're so excited because we're in Whistler. And then I ended up having a weird fall the second day, and I ended up severing my Achilles tendon.
Oof. Completely.
I had to fly back to Toronto. I had to get it reattached and stuff.
Wow.
But I was all in for real estate. So I had to. So I couldn't quit. And my wife was pregnant. She was on maternity. I had to make this work. So what happened was I couldn't even drive because it was my right foot. So what we did was my wife would drive me to all my showings before I met my clients beforehand, that morning or the day before. So I'd go and inspect the place, like especially in what places that had 2 floors, like houses. I couldn't go up the stairs with my crutches. So and then when when I had to do showings with my client, they would have to pick me up and drive me around. But when we went to houses and stuff, I told him, I've been to this house already. I have video of all the upstairs. I know what rooms to look out for. I know all the things, right? So they felt comfortable using me. No one fired me. So thank God, no one fired me that year. And that's what I kept on doing. So I had to put in an extra 2 or 3 times the effort for one showing. That's how it was, but kept on going. And that year, after all that years, that I was rookie of the year at my brokerage against like all the other agents, like the first year agents that have 2 legs and you drive everywhere. So yeah, it's never been easy in real estate for me, David. There's always been obstacles even when I first started.
How do you went through the 2008, 2010 crisis, real estate crisis? How did you survive that?
Yeah, that was roughly when I first started. Like I was like, oh.
Okay. So you chose the worst horrible time to go into real estate.
Worst time to start real estate. Worst time to start real estate. And you know what? I didn't believe that there was no business. And it was what's your belief, right? It's your paradigm of things. Maybe I was a little bit not aware about what's going on, and which is okay, even though what's going on, I just kept on going. Like I didn't really treat that as a barrier. I just kept on going, and I found business, because there's always going to be people that buy or sell. You just have to put yourself out there and find these clients, right? Like lead generation is hard. Even like now, when there's lulls like this, I'm still looking for clients, and we do things to generate business. We don't sit here around waiting. We always been very proactive with that stuff.
That's fantastic. That's great. How do you get to manage a team? Because most realtors stays by themselves. What inspired you to create your own business and start hiring people?
No, that's another story as well.
A
few years ago, I think probably 5 or 6 years ago, because I was working by myself, no assistant, nothing. It was just pretty much me. I actually have a business partner, but still, we were pretty much independent. Almost, we were working by ourselves. And that's when that was before electronic signatures and all that sort of stuff. We used to drive around just to get signatures like in person. I'm sure you probably bought property back then. It was all on paper, right? Like we were using faxes. There's no such thing as scanning. And what I used to do is like I had to do offer presentations at night, and you have to stay at the house like from 8 o'clock to midnight sometimes. And I used to do that a lot. And I had my daughter back then. She was like 4 or 5, around there, around 4 or 5. And I used to say goodnight to her on FaceTime all the time. Like I say goodnight, Olive, and that. And then one time she said to me, she's like, "Daddy, do you live in your car?" I'm like, what? She's like, "Yeah, you're always saying goodnight to me I don't see you, Daddy. Like you're always in your car." Because that's all she sees me on FaceTime. And I was never home. I was always working because we were single income. My wife was a primary caregiver, and that's what we decided on, that we're gonna be one income family. And that actually broke my heart. And I cried, and I was like, I'm missing my daughter's life right now. Even though I'm building this life right now for us, I'm missing all the important parts. So I was like, from that point on, I was like, I have to figure out how to get my time back. How do I get my time back? So I put a plan in action to start building the team. And it took a long time, lots of trial and error, partnering with other people, building my own team, firing a lot of agents, firing a lot of men, firing like a lot of things. And now here we are. I finally found the secret, the secret sauce about building a team. Like my team right now is strong. And now I have my time back. And for the first time, David, this winter, I went on vacation and didn't check my emails, my phone. First time in 13 years.
Beautiful. It takes a long time though, right?
Oh, it was a weird feeling at first. I was like, is everything gonna fall apart like that? But you know what? My team is so strong. They took care of everything. And when I came back, no fires. All the fires were put out. Clients were very happy. And yeah, I'm on my way right now to even remove myself with dealing any sort of clients right now. I don't deal with buyers anymore. I have a strong buyer agent. Now I'm working on removing myself from the listings and creating like a system processes, the standardizations for that, so that I don't even have to be part of that anymore. So that the standards are still there, but I don't have to be part of that anymore.
So is that process of delegation, but that's when most people fail. My business almost failed because I didn't know how to build a team. I was a computer programmer, that wanted to have his own business, but I had no idea how to build a team. And I come from a military background, so I thought I had to discipline these people, and they do whatever I say, and they have to work the hours I say. And so me and people will live left, right, and center, and I will attract the wrong type of people until I realize it's all about the culture. So you know what I had to do? I took a whole year off, went to a leadership course in the USA, a postgraduate degree on leadership, right? And then they made me read 32 books. 32 business books, and so all the exams were about these books. I had never I had never read a business book in my life before, only technology books.
That's right.
And then I started realizing, oh my God, this is why I'm failing. So in 2014, I completely revamped the company, started creating a culture of gratitude, a culture of growth, and a culture of giving, of contribution. Now I just attract these beautiful people, and now like you know, I worked myself out of the job. In fact, I just hired my replacement 2 months ago. And I thought I needed to train this guy. He's training me. He's amazing.
Congratulations. Congratulations. You know? Wow, David, that's amazing, man. Like that's great that you found that person to replace you. That's the hardest part, right?
Yeah.
Like it
took me 2 years to find it. 2 years.
I can only imagine. What are you going to do with your time?
Well, I make podcasts and bless the world with the time that I have. And but I'm pretty aware of the law of giving. Do you know what the law of giving says? You get that what you give. And it's just like the law of gravity. It doesn't care how you use it, but it gets executed. So you say, if this were a bottle, if I drop it, the law of gravity takes on it. It doesn't matter if it's a feather, a bottle. You can use it for your advantage, or you can use it against you if you know the law. So the law of giving says you get that which you give. So that if I bless the world, I'm going to get blessed back because it's the law. It's just like the law of gravity. If I let something drop, it's going to fall to the ground. Now, if I give hate, I'm going to get hate. If I give love, I get love. If I give abundantly, which is what I'm all about, abundance, then I'm going to be an abundant person. It's impossible to break the law because it's a law. Nobody knows how or why the law of gravity is there. We just notice that it's there. The law of giving is there too, brother. And that's why you're so successful, because now you just told me, you're a client-centric focus, but you also love your team. So you're giving to your team, you're giving to your clients. Now you're successful. Now you are abundant. Isn't it?
Never thought of it that way before, because that's how I wake up in the morning, right? Not to make more money. It's actually to, how do I help my team, like especially my agents, right? They rely on me so much. How do I help them get to their goal? Like that's how I'm all obsessed with marketing. I'm like, how do I get more clients? Not so that I could make more money. It's more so that I know the goals of my reps. They told me what they are. They want to hit this certain number. I'm like, okay, I'm going to help you get there. And that's always been focusing on. I guess it makes sense now, David.
And it's the law, right? Like the best way to get what you want is to get everybody else to get what they want. It's the same law. It's in a different way.
That's right. And we have that culture too, though. Like in my team, like everyone's very supportive. Like that's like it took a long time to find these team members, but everyone on my team have the disc profile that matches their position, 100%. No, like we were interviewing admins recently, and 2 of them were like high I's and a little bit of S. I'm like, we didn't even bother interviewing them because we got them to do a pre disc hold, like a small one. And then the one we did hire had a high SC, which is like, very steady, very compliant, exactly what we need. And she is the best one we've worked with, other than my head assistant. Like she's the best one right now, like that we've ever hired in the last 3 years. Yeah.
See, even with that, you're doing psychological profiles before you hire. Even that, you're putting a beautiful filter. I do that too, right? I run psychological tests before I get people in, because a programmer has to have a different mindset than a salesperson or a marketing person. You are looking for the right type of people for the right type of position. But that cultural values, they have to match. They have to be very similar, right?
Yeah.
So
100%. I know.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell me one thing. Worst problem in your life, personal or business, and how do you overcome it?
Worst problem in my life, personal or business? Well, the one thing was the time issue has always been been nagging at me, because the thing is, we only have one life, right? And I don't get me wrong, I love my career, love my job, love building, but I love my family more. Like that's what you do, right? And looking back, I with especially that story I told you about my daughter, I know my time with her is very limited before she starts looking at her peers to be more important than us, start focusing on other stuff that she needs to lead to, because that's the thing that all kids go through, right? And right now she's only 11, and I missed a lot, but now I'm gaining a lot of time back, which is good. So the issue with all this is that I'm always looking ways to free up time right now, like free up my brain, free up weekends, free up evenings, free up vacation time, so I could be present. I was not present for a lot of things. Even when I was here, wasn't here. Yeah. And that was one of my biggest issues. And we know what that happens when you do that. When you're only half in, half out in every situation, you're only mediocre. You're only average. Like, even though I've always looked at myself as always trying to build businesses, create, a lot of income, a lot of sort of stuff like that. Like I said, I value my wife, my daughters very well. I have 2 stepdaughters as well, 2 bonus daughters. And I always look back, even at all the vacations I've done and all the time I was at family holidays. I was always checking my phone. I was always checking making sure that everything was good. And you know what? That has been one of my biggest issues. But now that I actually built this team, I have a lot of my time and mind share back. I don't really check my phone after 6 o'clock anymore now, because I have teams supporting me. Obviously, they have to go through the same sort of stuff I've been through, but here's why I'm building a team where there's counterparts on each one, meaning that if there's a buyer agent, there's at least 1 or 2 other buyer agents. There's a listing agent and a second listing agent, because I value because I don't want them to go through what I went through, the pains. Yeah. Which is like, not being present. Because the thing is, I want them to have a life as well and all that. So that's why we have to have counterparts. One person covers the other person, so the other person have time off, could actually be at events, could be at family things, and not worry. And then the other one, and then they switch hands. And this way, the whole environment's like this. So not only I'm experiencing this, but my whole team gets this as well. And that's what happened with my admin. My top admin, Stacy's been with me for 4 years. And for the last 3 years, she's never been able to take a proper vacation without checking her email, because she cares as well. She didn't want things to fall apart, and I needed her. And I wasn't able to do things without her. And that's what I said to her for 2022. I was like, Stacey, we're at a time where we have resources right now where we get a proper second assistant, where my goal is not to make money this year. Obviously that will come, but my goal is to give you a proper vacation. That's what I told her. So she was able to take 2 weeks off this year, go to Disney World, what she loves, spend time with family, didn't check emails once. And she came back so recharged, she had so much gratitude when she came back. Because the thing is that I actually do protect my team. I watch out for them, and I really care about their well-being as well. So,
it's scientifically proven that human beings are not made for multitasking. And then what happens is that you split your consciousness in multiple things, and you're just grabbing this thing for a little bit and then this thing for a little bit, and you keep going. That stresses you out, makes you sick, and every little bit that you make is mediocre. Is the best people. It's actually very half-ass. Yeah, it's horrible. So you don't get to enjoy your family. You don't get to do a business properly. I suffer from that for so long. It was horrible until I realized, no, I need to have backups, and I need to be able to see if I'm with my family, I am with my family. Phone is off. If I'm working, family is off. I'm fucking working.
That's right.
If I'm talking to you, you're a human being. You deserve to have 100% of my consciousness in you for this moment in time.
Exactly.
And people appreciate that because you can feel that. If somebody's 100%. Distracted, if I'm talking to you and I'm thinking about the ocean and a margarita, you'll know that I'm not listening.
Exactly. Because you're right, David. Every person wants to feel like they're heard, right? That they're understood and that they're listened to. You're totally right on that. And that's the thing I learned. I wish I learned a lot of these skill sets I learned in the last 5 years. I wish I learned them like a couple of decades ago. It would make my life so much easier. Because I've been through being immigrant parents. I have immigrant parents. We weren't taught how to be empathetic. We weren't taught how to diffuse situations. We're going to talk about looking for cues. And plus, being male, I know that we don't have those skill sets naturally a lot, anyways, because of our biology. Because I've been reading a lot of books about female biology just to understand my daughter a little bit more because of all the growing pains she's going to go through. Right. Yeah. I don't want her to have those teenager years where they totally rebel. I want to have a good solid base and understand her so that our relationship is strong down the road. Because I love my parents, but we never had a really tight relationship. I know that they loved me, don't get me wrong, in their sort of special way, but it wasn't the type of relationship I want to have with my daughters. That's why. So, because I want ours to be more deep and more stuff that I didn't have when I grew up, right? So yeah, you're totally right on all these, David. It's just crazy, and having mind share, being there. That's why I have to be here. I can't be half-assed. I can't, right?
It's a discipline though, because you always have the temptation, right? What's next? What's next? That's why I meditate every day now. I started meditating 10 years ago. After I went to the course, the leadership course, I started to learn how to meditate. Now I consider myself a master meditator. And because that trains your brain to be in the present moment so that you're not 1,000 thoughts a minute, right? Your brain has to be controlled. You are not your brain. You are the one that gets to know that there is a brain so that you have control over it. Your brain is trying to always protect you from the tiger that is behind the bush, but that tiger is no longer there. But the brain is benevolent, but we have to have the discipline to learn how the brain works and how to control it. And then your life is beautiful.
You're totally right. I have to get back into meditation because I actually was meditating up to 5 to 10 minutes a day before. And I sort of stopped because I don't know. I just, habits, because I'm very habit driven, right? And that's one of the habits that dropped off. I have a whole morning routine. That's the things that I think that's one of the things about being an entrepreneur. You have to have a morning routine. You have to have routines. You have to have habits. You have to be automating certain things that'll get you farther, right? Because if you don't, your schedule takes over and it eats you alive. Your emails eat you alive. Your schedule eats you alive. That's why in the morning from 6:30 to about 10 o'clock, my time is protected during that time. I don't answer emails, no phone calls, nothing. I do all my morning stuff, all the important stuff at that time.
That's beautiful. Brother, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to ask you one last question before we end this beautiful podcast. Tell me something. If you had access to a billboard on the busiest highway on earth, what would you write in it?
I had a billboard that's on a very busy highway to send a message out to everyone. One of the things that's been resonating with me for a long time. So it'll probably say, "Time is limited. Do it now."
It's true.
Right.
Time is limited. Do it now. That is so profound.
Yeah. It's relating to one of the Buddha sayings is one of the illusions is that you think that there is enough time. Something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing a little bit.
Yeah, it's true. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Brother, thank you so much for being in the podcast. If people want to get to know you, if they want to hire your firm to get their next house or sell their house, how do they find you?
Well, they can find me on my website, kevinyuteam.com, Kevin, KEVINYU team.com. You find me on social media as well. If you Google me, you'll find me. We do a lot of social media online. I'm very easily found. So all you have to do is search Kevin Yu Realtor, and I'll probably pop up as the top one.
Part of being the top 1% of realtors in the whole country has its privileges, isn't it?
A little bit.
Brother, thank you so much. I love you. Thank you. Keep blessing the world with your work. Keep finding ways and to delegate and finding the time for your family. You're a true example of that it can be done.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it. I'm very grateful to be part of your podcast, sir.
Blessings. Yes.
That's all for today's episode of the Break Free Podcast. Head on over to iTunes and subscribe to the show. Starting your own business can be tough, but it doesn't have to be. Visit davidmansilla.com to pick up a copy of the #1 international best-selling book, Breaking Out of Corporate Jail. Expand what you consider to be possible and reach your full potential. And join us on the next episode.